you doing? Welcome to another Utility Advisory Committee meeting. We will start off with the regular agenda items. First off, I guess we want to confirm posting and roll call. So Josh?
Yes, everything was posted according to the NRS guidelines.
Okay, so actually there's 3 of us today so far. Hopefully we'll have a 4th member. So right now we have Kevin and myself, Larry, and we have Randy on the phone. Randy, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And
Yes, I'm here.
thank you. So Mike and Howard are not here today, so hopefully Mike will come a little later, hopefully. Okay, well, we go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So I guess we'll go ahead and go to the first public comment meeting. I don't see anybody in the audience that looks like they want to make a comment. So if we can go to the phone, 702-589-9629, and this is the comment period about what is on the agenda. So we'll give it about a minute, and then we'll continue on. Okay, again, just to make sure, the number is 702-589-9629. Josh, was there anything that was emailed or sent in? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's call that, we'll close that out. There will be another comment period. If anybody comes on viewing this and would like to make a comment, there will be another comment at the end of the meeting you can make a comment on. So we'll go to the agenda. So Joe, I think, so we have a quorum right now. So hopefully Mike will be here. If I understand, Randy is traveling, so if there is any chance of a cell reception issue, then maybe we should do the voting issues first. So we have number 1 and number 8, I think, are the only things that are critical votes on this agenda. Am I missing anything? And here's Mike. Okay.
Okay.
So now we have a quorum, so I guess we'll have a quorum with 3, so we can just go down the list then.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we were hurting for a quorum for a minute.
Yeah, I see that.
If we drop.
July 4th early for everybody, huh?
Randy's on the phone, but he's traveling, so we all know how the cell service goes. Okay, so Joe, was there anything that you would like to change for the agenda? Any order?
No, we could follow the agenda in order.
Okay, Ken or Mike, was there anything that you'd? That's good. Okay. So for the first agenda item for possible action, approval of the April 2nd Utility Advisory Committee meeting minutes and May 14th, 2025 Utility Advisory Committee workshop meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? I didn't see any issues with the minutes, and so, Mike, you're okay then? Just let you settle down for me, sorry.
Yeah, no.
So,
Yeah.
Randy, did you have anything on the minutes?
No.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the April 2nd and the May 14th minutes. Do I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say
Aye.
nay. I'll pause a little bit more, Randy. So it's unanimously passed. Okay, so we'll close number 1. We'll go to number 2 for possible action discussion of the fiscal year 26 utility operating budget. Go ahead.
Hi, Angela Mannanen, Budget Manager.
Before you, you have the executive summary for the enterprise funds. There was a minor change from the one in the packet. The wastewater capital projects was the listing from fiscal year 25 and not the listing for fiscal year 26. So you'll see that updated in the workbooks in front of you. And also, I just noticed, please ignore the utilities combined totals. The revenue one is correct, but the expenses shouldn't have showed depreciation. The total is correct at the $38 million less depreciation, but those categories are not correct. The individual funds, electric, water, wastewater, are all correct, but for whatever reason, the total page, there's a hiccup there. So we'll have it fixed and we'll have a corrected one sent out.
Now, are we taking the depreciation out of the budget now? or-
We cannot take the depreciation on the budget. It's an NRS requirement. I would just, for this packet, and just because it's not a cash, and I believe we did that last year with the executive summary, we took out depreciation because it's not a cash expense, it's an accounting expense. I believe you saw depreciation not in it
No,
last
it
year
was,
as well.
it was in the last year, at least unless it was changed, because I was checking back and forth last night. And that's,
Okay.
oh, sorry, go ahead. But it's, so it is, I am confused because that's the portion, in the rates, we don't use depreciation, but in the budget, we do. Now, if we take it out, this doesn't, because as I've stated several times, if we've got capital, I don't understand the depreciation, so.
We have to
now
have
we're-
depreciation because of the way the accounting principles work. When we buy capital, we do not expense it, we depreciate it over time. So even though it's in our budget for purchasing capital, to make sure for cash flow purposes, we have enough cash, for actual accounting, that when we buy a large piece of equipment or a large piece of infrastructure, it is capitalized and we do not see that expense until it's depreciated.
Yeah, that's very confusing, because that's a new practice that has started. That's what's been in the packets lately. A couple years ago, we saw the full capital. Now, we're not seeing the capital in all the different reports. So a lot of the different reports have different numbers, and you can't compare report to report, and you can't compare numbers to numbers. So I don't want to spend a lot of time today on this, but I would like to be able to try to figure out how we can I can better understand the numbers, because
All
I
the
cannot
reports
compare
have a
April
different purpose.
to this. April's numbers in the packet are different and did not have the totals to this number. And so I do not know if the numbers in April is what went to the council without doing a lot of work. And so it'd be nice to understand how we can at least understand some of the numbers better.
Okay. Okay, so high level, there has been changes since we last met in April. The revenues were increased for water by $470,000. This was because our original projection had conversion of some parks and the golf course converting over to raw water, which is not going to happen. The same with not converting over. It also increased our water expense about $240,000. So those are a couple of changes since we last presented to you. The total revenues for all four utilities is $31.3 million for fiscal year 26. Total expenses less depreciation is $38.2 million, including depreciation is $42 million, or did I say 38.2 and $42 million? Our water purchase budget is $5,035,960. The purchase for energy budget is $8,950,235. And besides those changes, the minor changes that happened since April were just fine tuning some of the salaries and benefits as new information became available.
If you could put that in the packet next time, that'd be very helpful, because like I said, there was no way, I guess if I would've looked at the revenues, I had it, but it was very difficult because the way that the categories were combined in April and the way the categories are now, and the categories even in this brochure don't flow through to the other pages. So again, trying to understand the data clearly is difficult.
Okay.
And so we're trying, if we to accurately advise the city council, if we can't understand the numbers ourselves, then how do we do it? And then you're bringing it up at the meeting, you're bringing up the changes, not in the packet, so we can't even do our homework properly. So So we have to figure out, okay, now what do we do? So this meeting is just for information purposes. It's already done. But I'm trying to go forward because we're gonna have the capital next, and then we'll have the budget next. So I guess, in my opinion, the best thing we can learn is through the rate process, is understanding how, in the past, that's how we understood how the city works a little better, is understanding how the rate, how the consultant gets the numbers and sees the numbers.
Noted.
Okay, thank you. So any other comments from you guys? Randy, any comments?
No, but if we could take just a minute break, I might be able to get right into the Zoom app and join now, and I might be able to hear a little bit better. It's kind of hard to understand you. I don't know if you're having any trouble hearing me.
I'm not sure that I think once we started with the phone, that we can't go back to the Zoom, if I understand correctly.
You can still join it. It's open, yeah, he can join it, I can allow him in.
Okay, okay.
Or admit him.
Let's see, what's the next agenda item is the status. I guess we can take a quick break, or we can have, well, Angela, I'm sorry, so was there anything else, Angela?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All I have to do is hit join now. That's what it says. It's that simple.
Okay, well then if you just hit join, and then tell us if there's any issues.
Yeah, again, I'm on the phone and I'm joining now, so I don't know if that's going to do anything. But let me try it.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. It doesn't look like a simple thing. It's asking me all these questions, and so we'll just stay on there. Is that okay? No.
Okay.
Okay, I'll stay on here then. We can continue then. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So did anybody else have any comments on the fiscal year 26 budget? Okay, Joe, did you have any other thing that you wanted to present or discuss of the budget?
Not on this item, no, sir.
Okay. So we will close agenda number 2 and go to agenda number 3, status update from utility engineer Bill Bruniga on progress and developments on ongoing capital improvement projects.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Bruniga, utility engineer. Before you is some highlights of the CIP program. The numbers are from the latest available city manager report, just so you know what this is referring to. We've made progress on many of the CIP projects. I've added update notes to some of them, some of the highlights, so please review these. You now have this. Any questions on any of these notes? Glad to entertain. Just to direct attention to just a few of these. At the top are the electrical projects, in the middle, water system projects, then the sewer system related projects, and then landfill at the bottom. The main one for the electrical projects continues to be the Substation 3 project. Last meeting, we reported that the transformers were purchased, and now for this meeting, the next big piece of equipment for a substation, the breakers. So those are in the procurement process. We're developing the specs, and we hope to have those purchased, an award, by November 1st of this year. And that continues to be managed by CRC. Looking at the water projects, we continue to make progress on the copper service replacements around town. I've added notes of specific places most recently, just so you can refer to, well, where are we actually making progress on the replacements. And of course, those are ongoing. Another big project is the one and only 14-inch PVC water line that goes out to El Dorado Valley. And it has one pressure reducing station, which is good, but it's really not enough. There's still some tremendously high pressures in that line as it keeps going downhill. So this project is adding 2 more PRV stations to that pipeline. It's a big project, and later this month, we will have our initial design review showing all the concepts and initial schematics of exactly how we're going to do this. And then highlight for wastewater projects, the new headwork screen continues working well. We're in the process of closing that project out, and you're welcome to come see it anytime. Operators are glad to give you a tour. It's working very well and making big improvements at the sewer plant. You might have noticed that we finished the fence around Lift Station 1 down by what is now the Chamber of Commerce building. That was a part of adding that odor scrubber. It's still working very well. And probably the next big highlight for wastewater is the last highlighted item, the sanitary sewer upgrade. And that's one that is making use of a federal grant. And to get that grant money, we had to walk through the EPA grant process, which included a NEPA report and submitting project plans. And since our last meeting, we finally got all of that approved and ready to go. So we're getting bids on rehabilitating manholes right now that are a part of this scope. Those are the big highlights for CIP.
Any questions? Randy, do you have any questions? Were you able to hear that, Randy? Can you hear us, Randy?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was still in the watching. I just had to go back to the phone. Yeah, I heard that too.
Did you have any comments on the, you probably didn't hear it, but when did you get a chance to look at the package? Did you have any comments on the capital programs?
No, everything looked good to me on the package thing.
Okay. Bill, I think I have a few quick questions. So the circuit ties on the very top, so they're just still in design, I see. Do we know when, we might get so the next step would be design will be finished, then we're looking at awarding something, or what's the next step on those?
The next step is finishing the layout drawings that can go out to bid.
Okay, because I see
And so it's an electrical project, but this step is actually civil engineering that's being run by the city engineer, Jim Keene. After this installation work goes in, then we pull the cables. Our staff pulls the cables, and that's when it really becomes our electrical project. So this part is all the digging and dirt work.
So I guess when we, maybe in the, I don't know if it'll be next meeting, or I think it probably will be the next meeting, but these two are critical, aren't they, for the turnover from the 4 kV to 12 kV?
They're a part of that whole program.
So.
Yep.
Okay, because I just see that, we had this has been since the budget of '21, so, and we're still in design. The other thing I'm looking at here is, I guess, and I think I bring this up all the time, and I apologize, I'm still trying to make sure I understand it properly. I think we named them, but it's still confusing, because you have the El Dorado Valley line, and we have the 14 line to Solar Field. Now, to my knowledge, the one line that was the newest line doesn't go to the El Dorado Valley. It only goes to the solar field. It goes down to the 11, and that's where it ends right now.
Correct.
So neither name is, it's still confusing because neither name is right. So is that the El Dorado line, the one that stops at the I-11, or is it the solar field that stops at I-11?
Well, we would call that the solar field line, the
I-11
one that was built but ends at the I-15 intersection.
Okay,
and is not in use.
Right. So the important one is the El Dorado line, which is the PV that you just mentioned.
Correct.
And the one that's not highlighted then that's the one. That's just on hold then, really? It's not even in planning. It's just on hold.
Yes.
Okay. So then to do anything with that, we would have to extend it. Is that correct? So more money is going to have to be needed in the future if we do anything with it.
Yes.
So if we want to do it as a backup for the solar fields or for the El Dorado Valley, it has to be. Okay,
Yep,
just making sure I understand properly. Thank
correct.
you. Okay, so I guess since nobody else had any issues, then thank you very much for your time, or comments, I should say. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, thank you.
So we will close out item number 3, and we'll go to item number 4, update on the progress related to turf removal and overuse charges. Now, Randy, this was one of the ones you were interested in. Can you hear this, and is there a way that you can make sure you're hearing it?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I just have to bounce back and forth because I think I've been blocked out of audio on the Zoom app. So I have to bounce back and forth to the phone.
Okay.
Unless you want to try to unblock me by the host, it says by the host, which is you guys, then I can strictly stay on the Zoom app.
So Holly is he blocked somehow, or can you see it? So you're not blocked on our end, on this end.
Oh, it just told me that the host is blocking the audio. Let me go back to the Zoom and see if if the audio works, because I do have the mute button there. Hold 1 second.
He needs to turn his audio on, or, no, my audio's on.
This audio's on, so it looks like your audio might be.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you through the phone. We've got you through the phone right now.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you right now.
Okay, then I'm on the Zoom app and I hit the audio, the block or whatever it's called. So I'll stay on the Zoom app now. I think you can hang up the phone.
Yeah,
Or where's the Zoom come through?
back here.
But can we hear him?
Yeah, you're heard him from here already.
I haven't heard him from back there. Has anybody heard him from back there?
Yeah, he was just talking about it, that last,
On the back.
yeah, through there, I
You
thought.
can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
You can hear him, Holly?
You're hung up on the phone.
Okay, Don, if you want to hang that up then, if that's whatever we can do to make sure we have.
I'll just speak again, because I don't know if his mic's on here.
Okay, go ahead. Can you say something again, Randy?
Yeah, you can hear me now. I'm on the Zoom app and I just unmuted, so I'm talking to you through.
He's not speaking into the Zoom.
You're not speaking into the Zoom, so let's go ahead and go with this, and if you can hear the turf, then we'll keep on moving. If you can't, then we'll try something again. So we'll,
1 second, let me make sure that,
yeah.
Do we want to wait here?
I wonder if we should just switch and go to, because he was definitely interested in the turf, and
Okay.
I'm not sure that the power consumption, that's something we can update a
Okay.
little bit easier. So why don't
All
we
right.
just go from, so we're just gonna put 4 on, we're gonna swap, go to 5. Does everybody agree with that? Is that okay? Sure. And we'll go to 5, and then we'll come back to 4 when he gets back on the
Sure.
line. Oh, here you go. Randy, you back?
yeah, I'm gonna stay on the phone app. It keeps unmuting, I think, when I get off of it. So I'll just stay on the phone app, and it might take me a 10 seconds or so to swap back to the Zoom. I'll take some watch on the Zoom. So let's just keep going like this.
Okay, sounds good then. I will, so we'll go back to 4 then. Sorry.
No worries. No, so item 4, update on progress related to turf removal and overuse charges, for information only. So wanted to give an update on updates on turf rebates. So we've got about a dozen properties that applied for the turf rebates of the parkways through SNWA. 2 have received the rebates, and 10 are in progress applications. And then just to give an update on the overuse charges that's defined in Title IX, Chapter 14, Section 10. So this is for golf course overuse charges. These go into effect calendar year 26. So at the end of calendar year 26, it'll be assessed based on per meter basis if there's been overages, and that'll range from 2 to 8 times, depending on how much percentage overuse. To talk about a little bit on some projects that we've
Sorry,
got.
Sorry, Joe.
I'm sorry?
Just make sure. So first off, clarify, so you said calendar year, so it goes into effect at the end of calendar year, so January 1st, 2027? The
It's-
overage cost?
Yeah, so it's assessed in the calendar year of '26.
I see.
So, yeah.
Okay,
the-
that's
the-
why I misunderstood.
the-
Okay.
Yeah, if there's any charges, they won't go into effect until '27.
Okay, so, but to make sure I'm understanding correctly too, is that being assessed by the city or by SNWA?
By the city.
And since
Yep.
the golf course is the city-owned, golf course would pay the city?
Yeah, so all golf courses, will have to, if they're over, whatever that is amount, will be assessed those overuse charges outlined in Title IX, Chapter 14, Section 10.
And that money goes into a conservation program, is that what I understood
So
you said at one point?
the code outlines that the money is used for water conservation purposes, including without limitation turf rebate programs for customers, smart irrigation meters, and water-efficient irrigation systems.
Okay. So now, I think some of the confusion was, I think we're trying to understand what's in the paper and stuff and different things, so.
Sure.
So what I believe is the information that's been put out is that the municipal golf course is not, as much turf is not being taken out as it was planned, and so it's not sure if it will meet the needs, or is it pretty much determined it probably won't meet the demand?
I think the expectation is that, the golf course water budget will be met.
Okay,
So
okay.
whatever it takes to kind of get there, we'll have a year's worth of data to assess that.
Great, great.
So,
That's not what was been presented to the citizens in the paper and stuff like that. So I think
Okay.
that was one of the big reasons to have this item on here, is to understand that. So now the Boulder City Creek then, are they believing that they can make meet within the water standard?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, they're within the 4 acre-feet per irrigable acre to meet the new water budget.
And so then, I guess we're talking about turf, and it does relate, it was quickly stated in the budget, so the municipal golf course is not gonna be converted over to, raw water now, is that correct?
Correct, that is not in the plan to convert the municipal golf course over to raw
So
irrigation.
they're not planning at all to do it, because you're redoing the irrigation now, so now would be the best time, so they're not planning at all to do it in the
No,
future?
they're not. We're going to keep that on potable. We've looked at that with our modeling and saw that we needed to keep it on potable.
Yeah, now,
for
if you had stated in the past, just so I remember correctly, if the other ones remember, that one of the main reasons, or the main reason you're keeping it on potable, is that it helps the reservoirs?
Sure.
The flow of the reservoirs?
For turnover.
For
yeah,
turnover. So
yes,
it's
sir.
just, it's the quality and everything, so it's the quality for Boulder City.
Great.
Just so we all understand.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it makes more sense that way than not, since it would have been a savings and all that
Yep.
overall.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Yeah, so going back to the golf course, municipal golf course is scheduled to start November of this year. That irrigation and turf removal project is scheduled to be completed calendar year '27. And then, I'm sorry, calendar year, a year later is about when so it'll be the end of calendar year '26. Wilbur Square Park is also scheduled for its turf removal project to start this November. And I don't know if I mentioned Oasis Park Phase 1 was complete.
So now Wilbur, is that 5 feet or 10 feet of paving around? Is that what they're doing?
It's going to be 10 feet along the south and 5 feet along the northern rim. Yeah. Any other questions on turf removal or overuse charges?
I think you'd mentioned at one point that there was a concern for trees in some of the parkways, and so you guys are working on that and working with the people that have the parkways and trying to make sure that you save the trees in some of the areas?
We've identified trees in the parkways, and we're working with SNWA on how to best address that.
And the reason I bring that up is just if because when I go walking around too, you look at the turf that's still there, and a lot of the areas, especially in the tree streets, and so it's good to, I think, if people understand that it's being worked on and everything's being done to save the trees, because that's when you have the grass and the tree, you walk there and you can feel the difference, one side of the street and the other. We understand the grass can't stay, but if the trees would go away because of the irrigation issue, then that's a big issue. So I appreciate that it's being looked at, and also just to make sure, because we have a little bit over a year for the non-turf to be should be taken care of, because as of January 1st, then theoretically, Colorado River water can't be used for the non-turf. So it's just nice to understand what's going on and if the people have been aware and what's happening.
Sure, yeah, we've applied for a waiver for all the parkways to address that, so we're waiting to hear back from SNWA.
Okay, no, and that's nice. It's just good to know. Appreciate it. Any other comments? Okay. So anything else on that, Joe?
No, not unless there's any other questions.
So, okay, we will close item number 4. I'm sorry, Randy, did you have any thoughts? Did you hear that enough? You were the one that had some concerns. Did you get your question answered on the turf and the overuse charges?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we will close out number 4 and go to number 5, update from Utility Director Stubitz regarding water and power consumption.
All right. So we've got in your packet the Boulder City cumulative deliveries as well as monthly deliveries. This is called the Purveyor Report. Do we happen to have it digitally?
You want this one up, Joe?
Okay, we could start with electric. So we'll start with electric, and we've seen a seasonal increase in demand from March. We were at 19 megawatts peak to 26 megawatts peak in April, and then to about 40 megawatts peak in May. And looking at the hourly demand pattern for all 3 months, you'll see that peak demand occurs at 5 p.m. So it's helpful to highlight this to the residents, and this is available in the packet, the link. And so if you if you go to April, see, at the very top, if you can, there you go, just click April, there you go. And then scroll down, and you can see the peak gets more pronounced as temperatures rise. And then even in May, you'll see it really, so this just follows the typical work pattern.
And so these are actually the month numbers, not the billing numbers, which is a month behind.
Correct.
So this is actually what happened in May.
Yes.
Okay, it gets confusing because when we look at the date, a lot of times, like on our bills, it's a month behind.
Yeah.
And so just making sure I understood correctly, and now is that basically an average 40? Because we know that it's in the 50s in the summer, which is usually July or August is the highest peak than normal. Is this 40 about average for this time of year or not? Do you know?
That, I'm not certain. We do peak it, for the year around 50.
Right.
So based on the temperatures, that would be typical. So.
Because one thing I saw here was that, it used to be that was really, you heard 2 to 8, let it wait. And to do any if you want to do your any major appliance usage that, you can, washing and stuff like that. So here, I guess that's one thing you're right. If we can get that out to the citizens as far as conservation issues, then really push that, when you come home, if that's what a lot of that is, don't turn everything on at once when you come home.
Sure.
So maybe there's some things we can do to help to conserve it, and then I think that would help our load with the power and with hopefully some of the purchases too, because I'm sure that's a pretty good cost.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So-
the biggest thing folks can do is if they have a smart thermostat that you can program your schedule to make your space comfortable for your personal needs. If that's programmed such that that's not kicking on at these peak times, that will bring that peak down. And
But the other thing too that might be handy is if you start putting a little more of the conservation stuff. I think some of it's in there, but some of it in the utility bulletin or whatever we call
Sure.
flyer.
Yeah.
I think that, and just this peak to show that, hey, it's around 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So, if we think of having our mind 2 to 8, we can go, well, at least at 5 o'clock, let's put it off.
Sure.
And that the more we can conserve, the better off we can, and then we can keep working with it.
Yeah, we
Maybe
can
we
work
do
on it.
some of this with, hopefully the consultant also, with the rate process. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Holly. So for kind of going to talk about water.
I'm sorry, does anybody else have any
oh.
comments on the electric? Okay. Randy, you don't know if you saw, did you have any comments? Did you have a chance to look at the packet to see if there were any comments on electric?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
okay.
No problem.
Okay, Joe, thanks.
Okay, no problem. So kind of talking a little bit about water now, in the Purveyor report that we've got. Yes, thank you, Holly.
I could throw up if you need.
Yeah, so just go back to Boulder City. Perfect. Yeah, oh, right there is perfect. So it includes all the Purveyor members. Just want to focus on Boulder City. So the smaller graph that you see in the top left of the screen, that's the monthly deliveries. And then the larger graph is the cumulative deliveries. So you can see that, cumulatively, we have been increasing, and much of that is due to temperatures that we've seen kind of increase for irrigation needs. So we did get a cooler and wetter May, and you can see in the smaller graph that we were the lowest in the 3-year average for this year compared to the last 2 years. So we are monitoring this. I mean, the largest usage is outdoor irrigation. So, and as you know, the golf courses, all three kind of take up about a third of the city's total usage. So it's a seasonal demand, but anything that we can do to conserve water, we've got smart irrigation controllers that we have rebates. SNWA has a rebate. We match that rebate, and it ends up being, next to nothing to get a smart irrigation controller. So very similar to the smart thermostat. This would help like in an event like today, or if you had a measurable rain event, it's going to shut off that outdoor irrigation if it's not needed, kind of based on your own individual needs.
Now, in April, did you, because that's quite a spike in April, and I don't think April was super hot, was it? And let's see, we changed over, I think March changed over to the increasing the water, but it shouldn't have been that much more than the other one. That, to me, would almost be like something at the golf courses happened, because that's a lot of water. Whether golf courses were reseeding a month early or something like that.
I don't have that information handy, but I can get back to you on that and see if they were reseeding.
Yeah, because I think for the rate process, that would be very handy, because again, we're trying to work with the tiers for conservation. And if we can, if the city is using a lot of the water and you're just paying wholesale, I'm not trying to point fingers, I'm just trying to look at the facts, then we need to see what we can do. If we can sort of break it out and say, hey, we have certain large amounts of water used by the public, and we still, then, but the other thing we've got to worry about, if we start really reducing the water usage in residential or commercial, then we don't have the revenue sources.
Sure.
So that was pointed out, it's been pointed out several times to me, so it's a tricky road to follow. So, but the more we understand, I think, which categories, and I think that has to be done in the cost of a service study, I believe, so maybe in number 7 we'll get there a little bit too, but the more we understand about what is causing this, the better off we can we can work with it as far as rates go too.
Sure.
So, because it can be a revenue requirement issue.
Very good. Any other questions or comments on the material in front of you?
Guys, anything on, I'm sorry, anything, Randy, on water?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so was there anything else?
Claire, could you ask him to please mute his mic when he's not speaking, because we can hear the whole bunch.
Right, can you mute your mic off and on, or do you have to keep it on to keep in conversation, to keep hearing us? Randy?
I am on the Zoom app now, and I keep hitting the mute button when I want to talk and then turn it back on. I'm not on the phone anymore, even though I think we're still on the phone. So I would think you can be able to hang up the phone.
Your phone is coming through your voice is coming through the phone, but is he coming through Zoom?
No,
So I don't know, what do we do? Because if we,
pick one or the other that he needs to do, and then if he's right on the audio on, that's why we're hearing him.
okay, yeah, if you can, I guess, get out of, what can you hear best on your phone or the Zoom?
Well, the thing is that the mute button, I'm on Zoom, and of course I'm still on the phone, but I'm on the Zoom and I'm watching the video. and I am muting on Zoom off and on, so it appears to be working. But I don't know if it's automatically switched with the phone, and I don't see it.
Yeah, can you
Or
mute,
what?
can you mute your phone?
Can I do what? I'm
Can you
sorry.
mute your phone?
You want me to just use my phone and not watch the video?
No, watch, but can you mute your phone?
Can I what my phone?
Mute. Pause it. I mean,
Mute it.
mute.
Oh, yeah, I can try, but I think the muting is working on my Zoom that's working on my phone. Let me go back to the phone.
Yeah, go back to the phone and see if you can mute it. Mute it.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm at the phone screen and it's
Very good.
There you
You're
go.
muted.
You got it. So hopefully you can still hear us, and then just unmute it when you have something to, when we ask a question.
Thank you, Larry, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
okay. So let me I'm gonna watch the video, and if you ask me a question, it's gonna take me. There's gonna be a delay because I have to get back to the phone screen.
Okay.
To mute it. So
I'll-
give me a little patience.
We'll give you a little. Okay, no
Okay.
problem. Thank you.
Great, we're good then.
Okay, so we'll go with so that's it for 5.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll close out number 5 and go to number 6, update regarding the Southern Nevada Water Authority feasibility study for Boulder City's affluent water use options.
Yes, so thank you on that. The Southern Nevada Water Authority is working on a feasibility study regarding our treated effluent. The options you can kind of see in the background information. They are working on a final report with a cost estimate to be provided to us. And as soon as I get that, be able to present that to City Council and then to the Utility Advisory Committee.
And do we have a time frame for that?
I've been told that the report is very soon going to be finalized, so they're just waiting on the cost estimate portion. But the technical information has been completed.
So I guess numbers and stuff are a little confusing, but from little things that have been said and heard, whatever's you can say, I appreciate it, but it sounds like things have changed drastically from what we were told in 2023 as far as costs and possibly different changes. So it could be a pretty good shock when that final report comes out, just so this committee understands.
Yeah, the costs have, in their work, have gone up significantly in their estimates, so, probably a magnitude.
Now, the thing is, I guess in the final report, or they told you, is Boulder City being that we need to do something, or these are just still options?
Yeah, this is just a technical feasibility study, and then the City Council will decide, which route they choose to go.
Yeah, because if you've got a majorly prohibitive cost of project, then we got to, because so there again, just so we understand, because hopefully we'll see it in a couple months, but if it takes longer, because it's already been 2 years, it'd be nice to sort of get an idea of what we might be looking at. It has SNWA, because what was it? I think it was originally 24 that they saved 24 million, and then they said they would go as high as 32 million. And it sounds like the projects are exponentially a lot higher than that.
Right.
They indicated that they would be willing to pay more, or are we on, so in the draft report, did they say anything about that, or is that?
No,
Okay,
no.
so we don't know
Yeah.
what they're gonna do. Because
Sure.
if we end up with a major debt, it's gonna be, I guess see what the council says, but it would seem to be hard to add that to a rate process, or the sewer rate would increase exponentially if we were to pick up a large cost.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to evaluate that. City Council will have to kind of make a decision based on the final report, which
Yeah.
way they want to go.
Yeah, it's just frustrating that, so I think that's why we like to have it on here, is just sort of seeing that you'd think when somebody was doing design, you could do it within a year, or at least get an idea and do something, and it's been 2 years now, and over 2 years, and it's still not, there's no date to say, yeah, we hope to have it in this date. It's like, we're not sure.
Yeah, my understanding is it's at the very end, and they just are waiting for the numbers portion.
Okay,
So
okay. Thank you.
you got it.
Any questions? So Randy, and we'll give you just a few minutes in case to get everything organized. Did you have any comment on the Southern Nevada Water Authority feasibility study?
No, I'm good, thank you. I got the information.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll close out item number 6 and go to item number 7 for possible action, discussion of the requirements and scope of the next utility rate study.
Very good. So this item is for possible action, just as you said, Chairman Carr, the requirements and scope for the next utilities rate study. In your packet is a draft request for proposal, and namely the big piece that I'd like us to focus on is the scope of work. There's some definitions starting on page 50 of your packet, but the scope of work starts on page 52 of 65.
So Holly, can you see, have you got it separate or you got it out of the packet? Because I think we're either looking at page 52 or page 11.
Oh yeah, page.
If you scroll all the way down, probably, it'll be down there. How far all the way? That's where it says scope of work.
Nope, got to go up a little bit,
Back
sorry.
up just a little bit.
Here?
Up,
Well,
no,
a
keep
little
going.
bit more up.
You've got about five or so pages to go up still. Keep going. You got to get past, you got to go above the exhibits. So back beyond the exhibits, sorry. Back, yeah, back, not forward, sorry.
This is the last slide.
No, back. You got to go,
Oh,
Oh, right there.
Right.
Yeah, one more. And then,
here?
oh, you were right there. Just kind of back up just 2 pages. Perfect. You're right on it. Thanks, Holly. No, you're
you
good.
wanted to do the terminal, because it's 1 page back or 2 page back for the
The definitions?
definitions. Is that,
Yeah, I mean, these are standard. but
okay, I
if
thought you
that's
said you
something-
wanted to go over that, so.
Oh, no, I just wanted you to be aware of that. That's,
Okay.
the rest of the document is all standard contract language. It's
Right.
not, changed. So starting on the scope work, you'll see the phases of the project. What we did was we started with the 2019 RFP and built off of that. And if you have questions on kind of what changed, we can go over that and discuss it. But we're looking to get your feedback in this document to see what you'd like changed, if anything, as we move forward. So,
Ken or Mike, did you have anything?
A sidebar. It's not direct to the utilities, but the lease timeframes on the solar leases. We're going to have some sunsetting coming forward. I know all of the direct revenue goes into general fund, but the latest one, you actually were able to negotiate a pretty good deal for us to get some base load from a solar lease, correct?
are you talking about town site?
Yes.
Yes.
So as these other leases start to sunset and are up for renegotiation, there would be a direct tie-in, how we might impact or reflect that into our rate studies. I don't know when these leases expire. Do the customers that are leasing from us intend to renew? Or those are some information that I'd like to know a little bit, and just tell me where I can find it. Because how many do we have, like 11 or 12 leases?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure we can add this to as a future agenda item
Okay.
and discuss.
Okay.
But in general, I mean, we're seeking, resource needs that's going to put the city and the utility in the best position
Right.
for, a stable rate and avoiding market spikes. So we're doing that actively.
Good, because I just thought that what you were able to do at Town Site was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That we finally get some power from all of those leased properties out there.
Sure.
And as we start to renew, is that something that we could back into some of the renewal leases moving forward? Because I think that there's some people might be coming up for us to look at when their leases sunset or renew.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something we can discuss in a future agenda item, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess because it does have a little bit of rate discussion, but it is a matter of whether we talk on a separately an agenda to bring it towards a rate. But it wouldn't, I guess it depends what the city would prefer. If you try to incorporate it into the rate, say if we could do this, because basically what I see in this proposal is you're looking at a 5 to 10 year financial plan. And so if we did see that there was some potential in a 10-year plan, within the 10 years to get something, then something might be adjusted. At
So
least
we've-
looked at.
Yeah, we've got our electricity wholesale costs forecasted and built, based on our current resource mix
Right.
and market conditions and hedging through the Silver State Energy Association. So that's what we use for estimating what the future energy costs would be.
But I guess in this rate process then, and I'm not sure if it's the proposal, I guess it's not, so we might have to put it as another agenda, discuss it more, but if I understand correctly, there's things that the city's looking at that would help our portfolio, and so hopefully if we're looking at 5 or 10 years, those things will be included. Can you discuss that?
Well, yeah, so like phase 3, yeah, what we have in there is the actual operating and capital expenditure forecasts. What you're describing is in that.
It's, okay, because we're looking at 5 to 10 years is what
Yeah.
the other one says, and it would, so, because right now, like I said, one of the biggest things that we're looking, I would think, it sounds like we're looking at is getting off buying a large chunk of the power on open market.
Correct.
And trying to get something that we'd have a long-term to reduce that, 'cause it seems like that's partly what's really hurting us,
Correct.
is that open market at high peak time is just outrageous.
Yep, and we're, we don't have that in our 5 to 10 year plan because it's not guaranteed, but we're actively seeking those options to hedge that.
Okay, yeah, because that's something that would hopefully get that sooner than later, because that, to me, my understanding would be a big reduction, or could be a big reduction.
Certainly.
Okay. So,
Yeah, we shouldn't be in competition with our general budget, but this is one place that the utility fund can extract some benefit from those solar leases, because a more secure wholesale rate to us goes to utility and not just pure lease money to the general fund.
yeah, there's some pros and cons, so I guess for a discussion, we probably better wait for another item, so, because I don't know if it really affects this. If we were to discuss it in the rate, I think it would be something we could discuss with the consultant. It should fall under the terms here, is that correct?
Yeah,
So the terms
absolutely.
are enough in here to cover that if we need to. So if we have an agenda item, plus we're saying in the rate process, can we, because I think that would be one thing, a different scenario, let's say. If something happens can you show us, the consultant to show us a scenario, how it could possibly adjust the rates?
Sure.
So, okay, thank you. Anything else, Mike? Ken?
I don't.
Okay, so I've got several things comments to see what you think. So as we go through on the first one, phase 1, I don't know how to approach this the best way, but it says, kickoff meeting with staff to review the project objectives. So do you guys, does the staff have a general project objective?
As far as?
Just so the reason I bring it up is in the 2019 rate study, it was sort of a contention because it stated that the consultant followed the project objectives, the
Okay.
city's objectives.
Sure.
We asked what those objectives were and nobody knew what it was. So how can you follow something if you can't repeat what they are? So I'm sort of saying the same thing here. If you're going to go over the project objectives, I would think you'd want to have an idea of what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it would be following the phases of the scope of work. There's nothing specific as far as like conservation or,
Well, there's sort of I would think you'd sort of want an outcome. Like I said, conservation, it's sort of in here, but I would think that would sort of be the project. And as long as it can be worked on in the kickoff, I'm not sure we have to define it. But I want to make sure that we do have sort of I'm thinking the city would have, and I think as this group would sort of have a feel, and it's just a matter of if it's too late when we get to the rate process to do it, or do we have to have more defined language in here? That's the reason I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, if you could be specific with like exactly what you're looking for, we could look to add it, but
Well, that's the thing, it's more of what, so we are here to help the citizens. If we can help the staff, we're happy to do it. The staff doesn't necessarily need our help, I understand that. We're just trying to say it. So if we can come and do some of this stuff, then it's a matter of what, if you have something that they're guiding through and we understand it and say, well, add it, but if it's just a general rate process, this terminology, project objective just seems to be confusing, because like I said, in the last one, it was a major thing, said we did everything they asked us, whatever the objectives were. Well, we didn't see that. And so it's sort of a technicality like in a contract. If it's not black and white, consultant can say, well, you didn't tell us, and so we didn't do it. And that's the only thing. So it's like the conservation, trying to, we're looking closer at the tiers. Now, some of this stuff is in here, and so maybe that's it. So if the staff feels confident that it's in here, I'm not trying to, or I'm just trying to help to say, do we need any extra language? Or if you go into the kickoff meeting, maybe we could even help with having an agenda item just to say, okay, let's brainstorm. That's the one thing I didn't have.
yeah, I mean, the
Wasn't sure exactly what better term, what to add.
Sure. Yeah, the stakeholder engagement, obviously that's key. But as I read, the scope of work, the phases as they're laid out, that's the project objectives. The timeline is going to be developed from the proposal, methodology, kind of from the content of the proposal. We don't have that specified in here, just kind of based on all the 7 phases. That's the project objectives that we've identified. And we started with the 2019 RFP, made some minor modifications, and that's kind of what you have before you in draft form.
Yeah, and to be more specific like you want, basically phase 7 is the overall objectives, because that's the deliverable that we're asking for. So that would be, I guess, quote unquote, the objective, to be more detailed. We want a draft report, a final report, and we want meetings and presentations explaining all the data and the reports that they came up with.
Well stated. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but in the draft report, you're gonna want it, that's gonna be the final data. So so you're asking them to, because you've got project kickoffs, the engagement process, these are all items after they've done the work or during the work. So what I'm trying to make sure is that they're.
No, I think you're, so the phase 1, the project initiation, that's when they're gonna facilitate, that's not after they've done the work, that's so we can review this scope of work and basically reiterate what we want done in that kickoff meeting, and they'll agree, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and then they'll put all their schedules out and come up with a timeline and methodology and all of that. And so that's what that first phase is, that initial project meeting, so we can confirm and reiterate everything we want.
Right. No, I understand that. I misunderstood what you said in phase 7. You said phase 7 is what we're asking for.
Overall, yes, that's
Right.
the
So-
deliverable. Yes.
Right. So, but to get to phase 7, we have to make sure we've asked for it up to phase 7, because phase 7 is saying, this is what you're gonna give us. And they can't give it to us if we haven't asked for it properly.
Correct, but this scope of work asks for it properly.
Okay. And I'm just trying, because since this is part of 2019, I'm sorry to be blunt and trying, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the 2019 rate had some issues. And so I'm trying to avoid, if it's in the RFP, I'm trying to avoid the issues we had. That's the reason I'm being a little more questioning it. And since it's in here as project objectives, and project objectives was a issue, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So, okay, I'll quit kicking a dead horse. So, on number 2, I think the stakeholder was so when I went back and looked a little bit at Raftilis's thing, and they're the ones that said how much they would involve the UAC. So here we just say that the UAC will be involved, and so as long as we can ask the stakeholder, and because do we need to put a minimal amount? And we've got a little bit more problematic issues this time, because now we're only doing every 3 months. Then we would have to have either workshops or something, because you're liable to have just one meeting, two at the max, in a 6-month period,
Yeah, I mean, there's
depending
certainly
on how it falls.
opportunity for additional meetings if necessary.
Okay, because this says it'll meet with it, it's just, there's no minimum on there, and I don't think there was last time, and then when Raftillis presented it, they presented their proposal with how many times they would include the UAC.
Sure.
So if that's doable, when, after the selection or during the proposal, to say, we see you've done this, and if we have but we believe this is to be done, if that has flexibility, then we're okay. I don't have any problems.
Yeah, I mean, is there a specific amount of meetings that,
Well, I would hope that the UAC could be involved after the kickoff, you know, not too long afterwards, to say, here's what we've learned, here's what the kickoff is, and we're saying, okay, if we have any input, and then you would have another meeting. So it looks like, I would say, minimum of 3, because you'd want the kickoff, you'd want the draft, you're gonna want a little bit before the draft, you're gonna want one before the final. So I would think 3 would be a minimum.
okay?
Does anybody else have comment?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Well, we can make sure that that's included.
Okay. Okay, so. And then, I didn't see anything about reviewing existing rates or the rate resolutions. Is that something that can be added, or does that need to be? Because I don't think there's anything in here that says we're asking them to review anything existing. I didn't see that. Did I miss something?
No, you're.
I think it's we can put it in there to verbatim quote, say, look at this, but I think it's kind of implied in phase 5 with the rate design
Right.
and the rate model, because you kind of have to look at all of that to even get there.
Well, no, because right now, the consultant will develop a rate design framework. So they could be designing something totally new from what we have.
I mean, yeah, but you have to look at what we have to even get there, though, right?
They don't. No, they don't. They
I
can
mean-
say, here's what your financial plan is, here's what other municipalities do, here's the rate design we're gonna design for you, which might not be bad, but I think it'd be nice to make sure if we can keep our rate design, maybe we wanna do it. But I think that can be interpreted as, we're doing our own thing, we don't have to look at yours.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, go ahead,
it
Josh.
could be, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna look at everything we have, in place now. I don't think they would just make up something.
Okay, because the
But-
second
But if
thing,
you want us to put that verbatim, we can. It's no
I'm
big deal.
I'm just trying to make it cleaner, and just being a technical weenie in a contracting type area.
Yeah, we could have a bullet that says review existing rate structure and resolutions.
Right, because you're gonna need to change the resolutions. If any adjustment, we'll have to do the rate, we'll have to change the resolution. And so it depends if you want help with that, or if the staff is gonna do that completely. So if they know that so that is, you've got a contingency phase on here that says, add additional money for contingencies. So that could probably be added, but if there was any confusion. The other one I was looking at was the service charge. Whether you need to ask them to do more, because the way I've seen things happen is in the last several years, you've got the customer charge in electric, and you have the service charge in water. And the customer charge is not even explained in the resolution for the electric. And the water is really general, and I think it was, in the last rate process, it was said, well, we're gonna do it differently, but really, okay, what is different? So what are we charging? So it's a matter of, probably don't need to get exactly what we're charging or what we're trying to collect from that, but it would be good to understand what's the anticipation of that. So like I said, in the past, the way the resolution read, it was related, the service charge for water was related to the meter charges, and it was related to the meter. And so I believe in the last rate process, we said, oh, no, that's not what it is, that it includes other things. But in the resolution, it clarifies it a little bit, but it's still not clean. So that would be something that might be helpful for them, because that's sort of what the last rate says, well, let's look at it, but we didn't go into major detail. We might need some detail on that.
So for phase 5, we can possibly add, evaluate fixed charges and rate designs across all utilities as a bullet? Is
That would work, yeah, fixed
Okay.
charges, okay.
Yeah, well, if the committee's in agreement on that, that's something we can certainly add.
And then on phase 6, the rate model, it depends on, is there any way, I was trying to figure out the best terminology, and I didn't come up with something either, but you've got a full operational comprehensive rate model, which is what we have gotten, but 55 spreadsheets with a dashboard that you can't really track back to what they have is pretty awkward to use, I would even think for staff. So I know it's designed for staff, it's not designed for us to do, but is there any way to ask for a full model and a more simplistic model that is easier to use or follow?
Yeah, I mean, we could see if we can specify that point, or, you know, fully operational comprehensive rate model that is simple to use.
Well, I think you're gonna have to ask for 2, because I think Raftillas considered theirs to be simple to use, and it is not.
So I think of simple to use would be like, you know, across a common platform, and not a platform that we would have to purchase or proprietary.
Right.
That's how I would kind of view that.
Yeah, but that was, theirs was in Excel, so that would, if you look at their side, they would say, well, this is simple, everybody's got Excel, or you
Sure.
guys should have Excel, so what's the problem? It's just that when you're dealing with 55 different spreadsheets, and your dashboards are supposed to go back and forth, and then you went from July to to changing the rate from July to October, they added additional spreadsheets. You can't, it's not easy to say, am I looking at the right data to what the rate should actually be? So
Yeah, I mean,
following it is very difficult.
We could focus on training and documentation, and if that's something, you know, I think that's where we can shore that up.
Yeah, and I don't know what, but a programmer might, somebody in the staff might say, okay, yeah, here's the way that we'd sort of, instead of it like because they call theirs a dashboard, so you'd almost want something between their dashboard and the spreadsheet to say, okay, here, we want a little more information than the dashboard, but we don't want all the information. We do want the full report, so I'm not trying to say get away from that. It's just, can we condense that or look at it both, say, okay, here's the simple way to look at it. Oh, then I need to go back to the full report if I'm missing something. And that's what I've done in the past with certain things too, is going back and forth with some of the data, but you need all the data to really get to the full understanding.
Do you think an executive summary in phase 7 would accomplish that?
That's what I was thinking about, but is that executive summary, I think, is usually considered a report. I think that terminology is in a report. That's what I'm saying. I had a hard time thinking of the proper terminology myself. So maybe you just think of it before, and I think we could probably ask. We need to sort of give an idea, because I'm sure that it might add additional costs. So, and that's up to if we want to pay the additional cost or not. If you guys are happy with what we've gotten in the past, then that's one thing. But I do know and I think it's difficult to use that to go forward too, from what I understand. So.
Okay.
And then on phase 7. So on the second bullet, if we could just add, it says final report incorporating feedback from city staff and UAC, if we could add the UAC to that.
Sure.
And then the other one with the final presentation to city council, can we say and UAC? So I guess we can be, if it's a city council, it would be a city council meeting, I'm assuming, but maybe if we just add the UAC, then we would know them to be included.
Sure.
Just to be helpful. So that was the final bullet on 7. Okay, and anything else? Okay, Randy, did you have anything else?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, well, thank you for your patience, I appreciate that. Is there anything else, Joe?
Nothing on this item. Thanks for all the feedback. Really appreciate it.
Okay, I'll close down number 7, and we'll go to item number 8 for possible action, appointment of Utility Advisory Committee representative to rate study consultant selection panel.
So for contracts, things of this nature, our consultant selection panel is led by our finance department. Our purchasing manager leads this team. So this item is to request that the committee nominate and select one of its members to serve on the selection committee for the upcoming rate study. Want to reiterate that this committee, this selection panel is the entity that picks the consultant. So it's not going to be the committee that picks the consultant. So the Utility Advisory Committee will select an individual that will be on that team, and then it's that team that goes through their evaluation process, their criteria, and picks that. So it'll be a little additional time outside of these, Utility Advisory Committee meetings. I'll open any questions, but really want the committee to discuss and then nominate an individual.
I guess I'd like to throw my name out in the hat, since this is what I used to do as my job.
I'm fine with that. We're going to be doing a bunch of traveling the next 3, 4, 5 months, and I don't want to impose on people our travel schedule.
Ken?
I would suggest that you do it.
Randy?
Sorry, I'm still bouncing on screen. I am going to be gone the last third of July and the first 3 weeks of August to tend to my ailing mother, so I probably wouldn't be a good choice.
Right. So if somebody would make a motion on that, instead of me making my own motion, that might be better.
I move that we appoint Larry.
Do we get a second for that?
I'll second it.
So the motion is that I will be appointed Larry Carr for the panel selection. Okay, we didn't have discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, anything else on that, Joe?
Nope, thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you, guys. Okay, so we'll close out number 8, and we'll go to number 9 for possible action, discussion, potential agenda items related to revenue requirements of the utility for upcoming meetings. So we have the normal. Now, at one point, Randy, I think you were asking to have some of these on as just a quick review. I think the TURF and the Southern Nevada Water Authority, do we want to have, because we should be out of here in less than 2.5 hours today. Wait, an hour and a half. So far, we did not go into any major details on that. Is that something that we want to just have for a few meetings to see what's happening, or do we want to just sort of do like every other meeting with the TURF and the Southern Nevada Water Authority?
Yeah, whatever the committee wants.
If you're addressing me, I'd like to keep them both on there, just in case things change. My understanding is the penalties that the golf course will incur will not be effective for quite a while. But I still would like to just be informed and make sure that that's still the status. And then as far as the study from SNWA, it sounds like that's moving forward rather quickly, hopefully. And if we could keep that on, that would be great too. That would be my wish.
So, I guess it would be helpful, we'd almost keep the same agenda. We would, then I guess we would, because you would either keep item number 2 as the utility budget, or, which it might not hurt just to sort of keep track of the overall operating budget, and then, but we're definitely going to have the capital budget coming up, right? The next meeting, we'll have to do the capital.
Yes.
So do we want both, or do we want just the capital?
I would recommend that we focus just on the capital at this juncture with the budget being approved. If you want to update on how the fiscal year is looking, it's really hard to gauge in that amount of time how needs come in throughout the fiscal year. So I don't want the committee to think we're in a place that we're not. based on the operating budget, so.
Okay, I think the rate process should give us a lot of information, so I think, I don't have a problem. You guys? Okay. So without the capital budget, on that, then 7, do we just replace that with, rate information? So whatever we come up with, so however the rate process is going at the time?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Replace that with 7, so that way we just make sure that the rate process is on the agenda. I'm sure when it comes up, it will be there, but just, that was a way that we would make sure we're discussing it.
Like an update on the.
The selection or
Sure.
or the process,
Yep.
you know, how, just overall where we're at.
Okay.
So was there anything else we were trying to get to in the future,
Not that I can think of.
Mike? Randy, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, so I think the capital would be good. And so if we could sort of get a little bit, a little more detail maybe for the, like, go more into the 5-year capital, because a lot of times we say, well, this is what the year capital is, and sort of get an understanding where we're getting towards with the 4K and some of the important projects again, and just talk to, in detail and why, and the priority of some would be great.
As one item?
Yeah, well, if we can do that in capital, that's
Okay.
just so it's prepared, just so something to think about, that it might add a little bit more. And I guess as much information as we can have in the packet would be great, so we
Okay.
can do our homework.
Sure.
Okay, is there anything else? Okay, Randy, did you have anything else?
No, everything's going good, thanks.
Thanks a lot, Randy, for staying with us. We got to go to the comment period still, so we got the last public comment period, but I guess we will close out, if there's nothing else on the items, we'll close out item number 9.
When is our next meeting?
That's a great question. I think I was going to ask that and I forgot. So when is the next meeting? Joe?
I believe we have the next meeting scheduled for the first Wednesday of October.
August, September, October, okay. First Wednesday of October? Okay. Is everybody available for the first week of October?
So that's going to be October 1st.
No, the first week. It is October 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
My only comment on that date is that's Art in the Park weekend. I'm highly involved in that whole, being on the Hospital Foundation board. As long as we don't have a really long, ugly meeting, I think I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, the capital might take us a little longer than this did, but it shouldn't, I don't think we should do too much. This one's went short, and so I think we should be able to do it in 2-3 hours max. So,
Yeah, just get me out of here before dark.
well, see, okay, October, it's starting to get light again, so yeah, that gives me till 8 o'clock, so I'll say that. So, okay, at least we can joke. Yes, if Ken, October 1st? Yep. Randy, October 1st?
Yeah, I'm good for that.
Okay. So just so we're confirming it, we're trying to stay with what's been our first Wednesday, so it's everybody tries to keep the every quarter's first Wednesday available would be the best thing we can do.
Yes.
Okay. But we do need to look at, I believe we need to, so October, we're gonna probably, depending on what the winter looks like for everybody, I think we're gonna need additional workshops to work on the rate process. I don't think 1 or 2 meetings is gonna cut it. So just, if we can, and maybe in October, we'll be able to figure that out to see what we might wanna do.
All right.
Just to give everybody a heads up, we can sort of save some time for that. Because there's a lot of data in the rate process. And so I think you're gonna want a workshop so you don't have a 5-hour meeting here.
Okay.
So, okay, again, thanks for everybody's time. We will close out, so thank you for that. So we're October 1st, we're looking at the next meeting, close out item number 9 and go to the public comment. So again, it's 702-589-9629. Give just a little bit of time. And then again, Josh, I'm sure you would have said something, but no, nothing. Okay, just doing my job. Okay, again, the phone number is 702-589-9629. Okay, not hearing any comments, we will close out the public comment period, and I guess we'll adjourn the meeting at 2:22 and wait until next time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.